Hello, new school comic book reviews. Okay, I've got one, two, three, four, five comic books that I've read. These are all indie comics. Most of them are actually female led, and most of them start with the letter S. I didn't plan it that way, but it's just the way it turned out. So let's start with Stumptown by Greg Rucka and Justin Greenwood, with colors by Ryan Hill. Basically, it's the first chapter to a new Stumptown mystery starring Greg Rucka's female detective character, Dex. This one mostly takes place at a soccer game, and well, first it starts with Dex playing soccer with some of her old buddies, and then they go to a professional game. She goes there with her mentally challenged brother, who she takes care of. And things are going along well. We meet a lot of her different friends, a lot of colorful characters. And at the end of this issue, it looks like something really bad has happened to one of her close friends. It's basically mostly set up, little interesting, really pretty much for the most part pretty much well written, and it's okay. The problem I have is with the art. Justin Greenwood is a decent artist, but some of the art is really loose and really sketchy looking, and just slightly too sketchy for my taste. A couple of characters uh, are supposed to be female. I couldn't tell that they were female at first. I was like, this dude looks really weird. And just going by the dialogue and stuff like that, I picked up that they were supposed to be female. And it's like they're not supposed to look androgynous, but like I said, it's just a little bit too loose. I would have liked it if the pencils were a little bit tighter. The coloring is really good. The lettering, everything else is good. The pacing and storytelling works for me. But just like I said, the figure work, could have been a little bit more tighter. Stray Bullets by David Lapham. Again, we have the continuing story of Virginia and her new boyfriend. Basically, they go to visit one of Virginia's friends at a pawn shop, and bad stuff happens, and she has to meet up with some guy who's got some mob connections that we met in a previous issue. Um, just pretty decent, pretty interesting. Kind of get that sort of thing where you start off with a story, you kind of start liking people, and you kind of get to know them, even though they're flawed and they've got their issues and their problems and things. And then something really bad happens. Uh, this one is in black and white, but I like the art. I think it succeeds in a way that the Stumptown. Whoa, what the hell happened here? Ugh, weird shit happening. Okay, but I think it succeeds in ways that the Stumptown issue, art in Stumptown didn't really work. I think the art here is tighter. The characters have a more individualistic look, and it's a little bit easier to tell what's going on. It's pretty interesting with the layouts in a grid pattern. Every page is eight panels long, but it works. It gives it a cinematic feel to it in a way that a lot of other so-called widescreen comics don't do. Um, but like I said, it really works. Really tight storytelling and everything. So yeah, recommendation for me. George Perez's Sirens. Pretty interesting. I think what we're going for here. Here, let me show you the fold out here. Wraparound cover, I should say. Basically, looks like what we're going to get here is kind of superhero-y, science fiction-y type story here, with a pretty much female team or organization. Basically, you really had to read this comic to get what was going on, but it seems like we kind of jump around in time, where at one point the story starts, we're in Viking times, and then we're in the Old West, and then we're in ancient Greece, and then we're in America back in the late 40s. And it seems like what's going on is there's some sort of conflict going on in the I'm not sure if it's supposed to be the present in another galaxy or in the near future, with this race called the Dragos, who are this reptilian race, and there's one woman who has kind of allied herself with them. There's some sort of conflict going on, and they basically go around and they pluck different women from different points in time and space to be part of this organization. It seems like some of the women know what's going on, and some of the other women don't know what's going on, and that's basically it. Like I said, this issue so far is just set up, but it was pretty interesting. The thing is, it's really it's really dense. It's really crammed with information, and I really had to like sit down and like read the comic to get what was going on. It's the exact opposite of what you get with a lot of comics these days with all the decompression and everything. This is very compressed, but I actually liked it. You get a really different sort of reading experience, and I think one of the strong points here is that George Perez is a guy who's able to really draw individualistic figures. So there's, a dozen women in his comic, and they all look different. And of course, you got the glamorous supermodel, superheroine type chicks here, but you also get women who have different body types and women of different races and things like that. And George is able to pull it off. So I'm really interested in how this comic is going to go. So I'm on board for right now. Hang on, please. Okay, next comic, Supreme Blue Rose by Warren Ellis and Tula Lotay. This is a very, very, very interesting comic. Basically, Supreme was a character created by Rob Liefeld. It was basically a violent Superman ripoff. Got to Supreme got a lot of notice when Alan Moore actually took over the writing, and they got other artists to illustrate the stories. And basically, he took the whole rip-off concept and kind of morphed it into sort of a tribute to kind of Golden Age Superman and and Shazam comics. Basically, and there was, I think Eric Larson did a run like last year or whatever. I didn't read any of those, but here, they completely like revamped the concept again. And what's going on? We follow oh, what the hell is her name? Diane Dane, something like that, who is a reporter who's been having these weird dreams with some guy who kind of shows up and says really odd, cryptic things, and she's really not too sure what any of that means. And she gets hired by this guy, Darius Dax, who's this kind of shady businessman type. And basically, he's hired her to find out what has happened to a guy named Ethan Crane. And Ethan Crane may or may not be the guy that's in her dreams. He may or may not be Supreme. Uh, Basically, what they do with this comic is take the whole idea of parallel universes and reboots and revamps and play it in a more science fictiony way. They really play it up more like a Philip K. Dick novel or something out of William Gibson. And so it's really dark, it's really mysterious, and it's really cryptic, but it's also very intriguing. There's these kind of bizarre dream sequences that go on here, and you get introduced to various different characters and whatnot. And like I said, you're not 100% sure what's going on. You kind of get it, and then you kind of don't get it. But it works. For me, it works. You really want to see what's going to happen next and what's really going on with the universe that these people live in, and what's going on. So I like it. Also, oh, let's see here. Mature Readers comic. This is Satellite Sam by Matt Fraction and Howard Chaykin. Um, Basically, the whole point to this comic is it's a murder mystery set in the 50s and the behind the scenes of a kid science fiction show called Satellite Sam. Basically, the star of the show has died under mysterious circumstances, and his son has taken over his role, and he's trying to find out what exactly happened to his dad, how did he die, and whatnot. He finds out that his dad has this box full of pictures of women in lingerie, and he finds out that his dad is kind of a horn dog, and we find out that he's a big horn dog, and yeah, you also find out that a lot of people connected with the show are double dealers, they're backstabbers. It's really strong material. There's a lot of profanity in here. There's a fair amount of raunchy sex. You deal with things where there's sexism here, there's racism in the time, and that's it. It's an interesting setup, not for everyone, but I enjoyed it. You get to see Howard Chaykin has kind of come back to mainstream comics in the last few years. And it seems to me that some of the stuff that he's done for like Marvel and DC and some of the other big comic book companies really hasn't been that great. But I think on this particular title, he's picked up his game again. You got, you're back to the sort of I won't say quite the A game he was doing on American. Oh, can't show you that page, but not quite what he was doing on American Flag back in the '80s. But it's solid. It's solid. You can tell that this is something that his heart is into a little bit more than when he's doing like GI Joe and Hawkman and things like that. Really interesting. Well, I can show you this, I guess. Really interesting storytelling choices and things like that. In black and white, but it works. You don't miss the color at all or anything like that. Okay, and I guess that's it. I got to thank you very much for listening. I did get Velvet #7, but I haven't read that yet, and I've got some giveaways and stuff. But I guess that's it for now. So, got to thank you very much for your time, and you have a great day.